cool. I remember finding this totally unexpectedly some time ago. It's an old subway car turned into a mini museum. It's up on Queens Boulevard. I think it's 82nd Street. It's funny they put corkscrew light bulbs in. Those are distinctly modern light bulbs, light bulb design. I guess this one probably isn't that old. But still kind of a cool little find. Sorry, I said 82nd Street. It's actually Queens Boulevard, 82nd Avenue. Avenue, that is. Oh, you know, I thought this was an entrance. I guess not. I think I have to go to the other side. There's another descanso for a bicyclist. Hell of a place to get killed, right across the street from the cemetery, right? Damn. And then I remembered the entrance actually is on this side. I just had to go up a little further. Welcome to Maple Grove Cemetery. I'm looking at this because that's the type of old sign that might have an old phone number on it. But if it ever did, it's unreadable now. It's interesting. I've never seen a public notice like this, but it seems reasonable that they would make some attempt to reconnect abandoned grave sites with descendants. Unlike a lot of the New York cemeteries, Maple Grove actually makes efforts to engage with the community, and they actually encourage visitors, and they have events. The grounds are pretty varied. There's some really A lot of it just looks like a big parking lot, but some of the older sections are pretty cute. Proper decorum, huh? Before I do anything else, I want to get to section D. Section D 181, and I'm not going there for a 181 fix. This is another one of those instances where that number appeared in my life completely unexpectedly. The number 181 is just like this little fixation that I have. It's been my permanent P.O. Box address since 1991. And the number has just reappeared in my life at the most random seeming times. And this was one of them. Anyway, I think I just have to go straight, that's all. This is section B. Let's go find D. And this is what a lot of the markers are like here. The metal material on the ground. You can see this whole section is nothing but those kind of markers. And I believe section D is entirely these kind of markers as well. You can actually do stuff with these things. There's one sepulchral portrait, but I guess the other person hasn't died yet. Taken individually, I think some of these are pretty cool. Unforgettable. But it just taken collectively, though, they make the whole section look kind of barren. Okay, so this is section D. I'm looking for D181B4. Roger that. Oh, that's cool. An Aladdin's lamp. What happens if you rub it? D181B4, not after. I do remember this being pretty much squat in the middle. Or splat in the middle. Where am I? I'm at D321. Right, D320, so I am going the right direction. When I first started coming out to these places, I felt like I was not supposed to be stomping all over these people's graves, but there's no way not to. Where am I now? D238. I'm right along the B range. face in the other direction. I passed it. I might have just stepped right on it, actually. Not all of these markers have the location on them. Location coordinates. Oh, I hate when this happens. It skips from 207 to 176. I hate when this happens. Hey, it's Howard Johnson. Actually, maybe it's not as squat in the middle as I thought. There he is. There he is. Don was one of the first friends I made in New York. And he died just a month before 9/11. He came out to my, what I guess you'd call my premiere recital in New York, my New York City premiere. He was a pianophile. He was what he called a member of the piano mafia. He and a bunch of like-minded guys went to all the big concerts. But our real connection went beyond piano music. I mean, that's not true. I didn't say that right. Don was a real-life friend of Kaikhosru Sorabji, the British Parsi composer whose music I used to play. And Sorabji remains pretty obscure for a variety of reasons, but Don and I talked a lot about Sorabji and his music and his reputation. And I now discover that his brother also died. This would not have crossed my radar, but I didn't expect this. I didn't expect Norm to be right next to him. But there he is. Norm was at the funeral. Of course. But he was like he made the funeral fun. Let's put it that way. I mean, everybody was appropriately saddened and everything, but Norm was happy at the turnout and just made it fun, if you will. And the funeral was memorable for for one other reason, among many other reasons, but all his friends came out, and I knew all these guys. Excuse me. I knew all his friends. At least I knew them all by name, if not having met them personally. And they were mostly his age and mostly men. So I was surprised that this really beautiful woman appeared, and she was with a big, sort of buff-looking dude. And I was looking at her and looking at her and looking at her, just trying to figure out who this was. And I'm thinking, Don, you dog, you didn't introduce me to your hot lady friend. And then just as this woman, she turned a certain way, and I saw the side of her face, and my jaw dropped, because that's when I realized that this was David, and that he had gone all the way through with the sex change. And it's like one of the few just absolutely jaw-dropping moments in my life, because I'd never really been exposed to that kind of thing. Somebody that I knew personally that got a sex change. And it made me realize, wow, man, it changes everything you think about a person. At least for me it does. When the gender, it just changes everything you think about a person at first blush, or at least in this moment it certainly did. But anyway, Don was a great guy. A friend and I called him the Don. I was at the funeral, of course, and it was, besides my grandmother, I think it was the first funeral I ever attended. My grandmother died when I was in college. And she, at this funeral I was a little surprised when I was handed a shovel. And I was told to throw 2 or 3 shovelfuls of dirt onto the coffin. And everybody did that one at a time. I've never been exposed to that ritual before or since. All right then. That's why I came out here. Let's see what else there is to find. Getting back to the Sorabji connection, Don went to a lot of concerts and stuff, but he was pretty discriminating about which ones he went to. He mostly went to the big names. He saw Horowitz countless times. He and I went to a Sorabji performance once at the city building, or the church connected to the city building. So he was very selective about whose concerts he went to, so I took it as something of an honor that he came out to see my little concert. I was a total nobody. I still pretty much am in the piano world, but although I do get talked about once in a while for some of my crazy concerts, he came out to mine because he'd never seen a program like it. I played 26 short pieces by composers for every letter of the alphabet. Of course, one of them was Sorabji, the S. So and I remember him saying, I was like, there's no way I'm going to miss this concert. I don't know who you are, but there's no way I was going to miss this one. But I knew him. He was well known in the classical piano world for his program notes that he wrote on the LP records and the CDs, and I think he wrote the Sorabji entry for the Grove Encyclopedia of Music. So I already knew who he was. He didn't know me, but we became fast friends. And he introduced me to all kinds of obscurities in the classical world. Classical piano. I mean, I knew obscure classical piano music pretty well, if I say so myself. But he was of another order of depth and knowledge. I just realized Norm, his brother, was 92. Wow. Don, I think, was 72. I forgot to look at that, but Don had a heart attack, and nobody heard from him for several days. So that prompted one of his friends, Bruce, who I'm still in touch with. Bruce got access to the place and found him, and sent out an email to everybody that was in, anybody that had emailed Don within the last, 3 or 4 months. By the way, this is a different style for this cemetery. The raised markers, raised and slanted, but really most of it looks like this. And like I said, the individual markers can be pretty cool. Although these things look a little flimsier than I remember. A lot of the centerpieces are missing. I don't think there are any columbarium structures here. They did get in on cremation relatively recently, I think, with some, they have what they call a cremains garden. Cremains has got to be the worst word anybody has ever come up with. Sounds like a fucking cereal. I wanted to revisit was, one time I was here, there were a bunch of little Starlight objects in honor of the World Trade Center killings. They don't seem to be here anymore. Yeah. Okay, the stars are still there, but there used to be little shiny glass, or I don't know what they were made of. Little objects in honor of these people. I do remember thinking those things are going to get stolen, but I hope that's not what happened. So they still have the sign saying that these are the Starlights, but they're not really here anymore. But the stars are. When I said they don't have any, I don't think they have any columbariums here, I meant columbariums with niches, with the little, the cremation urn and tchotchkes or mementos of the person's life. This columbarium is relatively recent, I guess. Doesn't seem to be very populated yet. And I wonder if some of these remains were not brought in after the fact, after it was built. That happened at Old Calvary, or New Calvary rather, when they put in the, what is it called, the Mausoleum of the Holy Family, I think. I think that went up in 2016, but there were some interments there from some years before that. This section's a little more lush with trees and stuff. More traditional looking, I guess, than all those metal plates. Whoa. That's funny, there's earlier over on the other side of this section I saw somebody named Root, and here I see CRON. And if you've ever had root access to a web server, you probably know what a CRON is. This is the CLI section, the command line interface section of Maple Grove. Yeah, this is a little section you could get lost in. We have root and cron, but we have code. This really is somebody's trying to tell me something with this section. If you're not familiar, a cron is just a script or an action or something that occurs at a scheduled interval. So like you might want to delete all the files in a directory every day, or clear out temp files, that kind of thing. So a cron tab, as it's called, is just a series of those type of commands. So you got to code your cron, and it used to be you had to be root to do that, but now It's easy for even a beginner to do that kind of thing. Well, I don't know about easy, but it's easier. Yeah, this is the beautiful part of Maple Grove. No question about that. It's interesting they put this plaque on top of the original marker. Although if you look at the edges, it looks like the lettering went off the edge. Maybe they cut it down from a bigger size, I don't know. The lettering, I'm talking about the lettering on the original stone. Looks like it's over the edge. That's an interesting story. Maybe I'll look this guy up. Thomas McCann, Carmichael. Okay, so I'm going to move on. I got kind of a late start today, so I have to get back. I mean, I want to not get back. I want to try to get over to Brooklyn today. See if that makes sense. But I think I'm just going to start with a long-ish walk down Queens Boulevard. There used to be a payphone here. seems like this is missing an apostrophe. Turnpike, there should be another apostrophe for the missing I. Today on a bit of a whim, unaware if I'm going to be able to access what I came out here to get a look at. But this was one of my great detective finds. A long time ago, somebody posted a photo of this with no indication of where it was, but it was one of a sequence of photos that she posted, and by sort of retracing the map of the route that she had taken, I more or less triangulated and figured out the general geographical area where it had to be. And ultimately I got to it, but let's see what we find. dial. No dial tone, of course, but I used to be kind of possessive about this kind of knowledge, knowing where to find something like this. And in some cases, I still am. But this is at the Brooklyn War Memorial at Cadman Plaza. In some cases, I still am secretive about location because it depends where they are. But this is public space. You can tell this is old because that's a 212 area code number on a Brooklyn phone from back when all the 5 boroughs were 212. This thing probably hasn't worked for 25 years. Make progress every day. somebody saw one of my photos of the Brooklyn Bridge, and he said, "That's a damn good shot, man." And I said, "Thanks, but it's damn near impossible to get a bad shot of this thing." I think there's something to be said for that. This is my favorite part of the span, with all the cables. Seriously, this old call box looks like an art piece now. I don't think there were ever any payphones up here, but there are these old emergency call boxes, but I don't think any of them work.